A pleasant evening to everyone. Hello to our Facebook and YouTube viewers and participants. Welcome to the StackLeague Phil IT Org Tech Session, The Rise of Intelligent Automations. I am Hazel and I will be your host for tonight's event. And I would like to remind everyone that if you have any questions regarding StackLeague or anything about the session, you can type them in the comment section and we will address them later at the Q&A session. Before we dive into tonight's session, we would like to give you an overview of StackLeague. Nathaniel de los Reyes of StackLeague will help me with that. Take it away, Nathan.
Thank you, Hazel. Good evening, everyone. Again, I am Nathan, and I will be sharing with you a quick overview of StackLeague. StackLeague is the Philippines' largest online programming league. Our mission is to develop programming leaders that inspire the nation into coding. The tournament is powered by StockTrack's fully automated talent analytics and assessment platform. Now, in its second competitive year, Stock League wouldn't be possible without the support of our partners. We're fortunate to be supported by the top companies in the industry. We have Silver Sponsor, Coding Chief, Bronze Sponsor, Microsoft, Dell Tech Systems, Upper.ph, Recruit Day, and Gcash. Our media partners, Spark App, Apps Gadget, What's Up Pilipinas, Corner Magazine PH, Androidist, Megabytes, Backend News, Bluewing, and Manila Republic. The same goes for our community partners who help the league reach as many programmers in the country as possible. And here they are. This pioneering programmer league was launched last year, March 16, 2021, and it's now gathering over 10,000 tech talents across the country to test their leadership, perseverance, and coding skills with the promise of nationwide media recognition. Lots of prizes, thousands of tech job opportunities, and access to invitation only events. The league year round cash prize pool is now at 10 million pesos in the duration of the whole competition. One of the highlights in Stock League Weekly Stock Race for both individual and team categories, each week the top 10 challengers and the top 3 teams are announced all across Stock League's social media platform to recognize a challenger who stayed on the top of the rankings. Apart from this, we also have the Stock League featured programmer and team campaign. The weekly top 10 challengers and the top 3 teams are going to be featured on Stock League website and our social media channels. Stock League will also be hosting numerous tech and career sessions all throughout the year. Aside from this, there are also exclusive trainings available for ranking up to the next challenger levels. These events and trainings are all for free. The Stock League Ambassador Program is a year round initiative to reward Stock League challengers who go beyond the competition and inspire the nation into coding. To tell you more about the Stock League Ambassador Program, here is a short clip for you. Congratulations to Darwin Pablo for being the Stock League ambassador for March, winning the 3,000 cash prize and a Stock League t-shirt. If you want to be the next Stock League ambassador and win the cash prize and t-shirt, the program is now open for April. You can find the full mechanics at our website. That is bit.ly/StockLeagueAmbassador 2022. There are 5 supported programming languages in StackLeague: JavaScript, Java, Python, C Sharp, and PHP. This is how the ranking system works. After signing up, you start at the bottom with 0 points. All you need to do is solve as many challenges as you can and earn the corresponding points. So the more points you earn, the higher your ranking goes. Once you have accumulated enough points, you can now get to the next level challenges, where more opportunities are unlocked for you to access. There are three challenger levels: bronze, silver, and gold levels. The new thing for this year's challenger level up is the prizes. Unlock bronze and you will receive 100. Unlock silver and you will receive 100. Unlock gold and you will receive 300. There is also a Stock League Treasure Chest individual category wherein the weekly top 10 challenger will each receive 500 cash prize. We also have Stock League Playoffs. Stock League Playoffs is a single elimination tournament featuring all the monthly qualifiers where all weekly top 10 Stock League challengers will automatically be invited to the monthly qualifier rounds. You can read the mechanics at bit.ly/Stock League Playoffs 2022. To know more, here's another clip for you. And that's for the overview of Stack League. And remember, that's a year-round tournament. Stack League is looking for the best challenger that can stay up in the ranks and become programming leaders for the long haul. That's all on my end. Back to you, Hazel.
Thank you, Nathan, for giving a short introduction of Stack League. And before we start this session, I would like to acknowledge our viewers. Hello to Diane Marie Polot from Bohol and Rosel Makatangay from Batangas State University, Raquel Joy Ferrer from Alaminos City, and Clarice Aratan from Tagbilaran City, Bohol, and also Robert Perez from Pasay City. And let's not delay any further. Philippine Information Technology Organization is a group of Filipino professionals with passion in sharing knowledge and skills to all information technology enthusiasts. Our resource speaker for tonight is an ISO 3100 certified risk manager and a technology services engagement manager with over 15 years of experience in leading successful projects covering personalized omni-marketing, machine learning, robotic process automation, business process automation, and software development. He is also an IT community advocate. And before he joins us in the stream, here is a short clip to know more about the Philippine Information Technology Organization. And let's give a warm welcome to Henry Reyboy Hutalle Jr. Good afternoon. I think our speaker is on mute.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, Sir Reyboy.
Thank you. Okay. Hayes, is it okay if we can do a quick survey whether how many are students and how many are already working. Is it possible in the comment section?
Yes. To our viewers, kindly touch or comment on the section if you are if you are a student, kindly type student, and if you are working or have work, type in working.
Yes, thank you.
Just type working or student on our comment section.
Mm. Okay, so with this short survey,
And
I
we're
would. Mhm. Okay.
yes, we are seeing Raquel career as student,
Yes.
JV Reliona working, Lorimel Ferreira working, Jericho Rubio, and Francis John Loretero
Mhm.
are students. Also, Rochelle Adana, student, and as well as
Yes.
Brian and Adrian, students,
Yeah, I think we're okay, and I think majority of our viewers are
are
attendees, are
students.
students,
Yes,
and I'm very happy that the students are really looking at uh, StackLeague in providing information technology updates to them. Okay, so before I start, this is our agenda for tonight. I'll briefly talk about myself and my organization, and then we'll define and know what is intelligent automation. Next, I'll talk about some industry trends and key use cases that's being done in the industry. So, for all the students, maybe, especially kung nandun kayo sa point na naghahanap kayo ng thesis and you're um, into RPA and maybe based on projects into machine learning, artificial intelligence, then there's something that you can pick up from this talk. Okay. So my personal highlights, I have notable projects on computerized maintenance management system HRIS, um, digital marketing, customer intelligence, robotics process automation, and business process automation. So for the industries, I've worked in telco, financial, meaning insurance companies and banks, and even to transport and utilities. Okay. So I have two organizations here. I have SAS and philit.org. So SAS is where I currently work, and PhilIT is our organization. Okay. So PhilIT is a non-stock, non-profit organization that provides free technical resources to the students. So as you can see here, we've went to different schools to talk about IT, and usually we visit them during their IT week. And for our key organization partnerships, we are leading the NASA SpaceX Challenge here in the Philippines. We are also working with Angel Hack, Stack League, and uh, we are also partnering with Shopee Code League. Okay. So about SAS, so SAS is a multinational company specializing in analytics. It was founded during the 1960s, wherein a group of students created a software for statistical analysis. Currently, we are now in 145 countries, and we are in the 91 of the top 100 companies on 2020 Fortune Global 500. And artificial intelligence has always been an integral part of SaaS software. So from 1950s to 1970s, we have neural networks, and then 80s to 2010s, more on machine learning. Now we are in deep learning. So what are the common use cases in deep learning? So these are speech recognition, meaning like in your phone right now. So suppose you ask, you want to translate something, then that's a speech recognition. Also, we have image recognition, natural language processing, making predictions, and providing recommendation. So later, I'll provide some examples on some of these deep learning uh, use cases. So let's go to our main topic, which is the intelligent automation. Let's define first what is RPA and what is AI for us to define the intelligent automation. So we have this robotics processing automation. Usually, it was created to to normally mimic what's more of uh, common actions in a computer. So, for example, from Excel, you want it to be transferred to a website, and then somebody will encode it. The RPA can do most of those things. So it can copy what's in the Excel or search in Google or on a particular website, and then the robot will encode it to the application, web application, or maybe on ERP systems or enterprise planning solutions, wherein most of the encoding stuff happen. Then companies also do automation. So system is usually used in banks. So for banks na meron pang mainframe system, yung green screen, and normally ito yung mga uh, created in COBOL, nandoon sila ng mga age on older systems. So sometimes hindi siya nade-decommission kaagad. And what happens is during the transition from their old framework or from their old system to a newer system, uh, kailangan ng manual encoding. And to do that manual encoding, companies use RPA to do that. Okay. Next is what is artificial intelligence. AI is the ability to make decisions like those human would make given the same information. So these are these are actually mathematical impressions coded based on the data that we're able to gather. So for example, before we can do an AI, we need to do machine learning to know, so that the machine would know what is right and what is wrong, and if he will do the otherwise, then most likely he can recommend something. So AI is a simulation of intelligence and distinct sentience, meaning parang may feeling or parang merong awareness. Yan. Okay. So, let me go back to SaaS. So, SaaS is not an RPA vendor, and SaaS and RPA are two distinct pieces. So, magkaiba sila ng because SaaS is really into artificial intelligence. And RPA plus AI is called intelligent automation. Okay. So, as I move to the next portion, we would know where is the intelligence in all those automations are coming. Okay. Before I go to the use cases, let me introduce you to what's happening in the industry on a global level. So for banking in this instance, we heard about money laundering in the news all the time, whether it's in local or it's in international scene. And money laundering simply is it's making the illegal money go into the legit circulation of money. So parang kung meron kang pera na galing sa masama, ilo-launder mo siya para ipapasok mo siya sa banking system para makapag ano ka, para ma-introduce mo siya sa market. Now that's called money laundering. So it's a very technical term used in banks. And right now, nasa high priority siya on a global sense kasi sobrang taas ang impact niya on our environment, on social and governance. So if you could just imagine if there's money coming in from say for example from drugs. So uh, usually governments block those money coming in and stop the proliferation of those money. So kinukuha nila yan. So how do banks do this? Usually they do RPA on name screening. So as mentioned earlier, RPA is a robotic automation. So suppose merong nasa news, merong money launderer na lumabas. What the robot will do is that it will name screen. So pag name screen meaning kukunin niya dun sa website or wherever news online and then iraran niya yan doon sa isang database wherein all governments have a list of all the names who've been tagged as money launderers or has warning, and then ensure that when this person deposits sa bank nila, kailangan nilang mas-stop ang pag-deposit. So another item is adverse media search. So suppose we already got the name of that person and we already know that he was tagged. So next is the RPA can search for negative news. So saan pa ba nasangkot itong person na to? So the RPA can do that automation and then monitor the transaction of alerts. Meaning if they transacted in a particular bank, so they have to stop that transaction before ma-send somewhere. So one classic example was if you could recall yung Cambodia natin na issue before wherein nag-send ng money from Cambodia to Philippines and then uh, naging very controversial sa atin kasi recipient is ang Philippines. So that's a form of money laundering and those are the items that all the banks are trying to to stop. Okay. So another trend is in the insurance. So for example, uh, it's more on the administration of the claims of all the insurance. So if you could imagine, if maraming nagki-claim ng insurance and most of them are false claims, then most likely the insurance system will bog down. So what RPA and intelligent artificial intelligence is doing is that they work wherein they put specific tasks na robot and nagkakaroon ng some sense of logic ang ginagawa ng automation. So I know in these trends, if you're not really familiar with the industry, medyo mahirap nating ma-visualize. So in the next slides, I can set an example wherein visually makikita natin anong ginagawa. Okay. So this is a classic example of a robotic process automation. So what it does is the RPA, the robot, can look at the mailbox, all the emails in the company, and then also check on the log claims tickets. So meaning this is an insurance. This is an insurance use case wherein, for example, nabangga yung kotse mo or motor mo, then magki-claim ka sa specific insurance. So you email them. So once it's emailed, the robot will convert it to dataset and then categorize it to specific topic. So it can be someone is claiming for insurance benefit, someone is requesting for something, and maybe there's an organization who's looking for a sponsorship. And then the robot will automatically send this to different people. Okay. So what's the value of the robot here? So instead of may one person na tumitingin ng email, if you can imagine, ikaw yung insurance, meron kang 10,000 or 1,000,000 emails per day na nare-receive, both internal and external, and then maghahanap ka lang ng ano yung mga claims and ano yung mga requests, then it will be very chaotic for the person handling this one because meron siyang maiiwan na most likely hindi niya kaya makapag-respond. So for this, this is the value of robotic process automation. Now, we want to extend the use case of claims process automation. Extend it in the sense na we're putting logic to the automation. So for example, if it's a claims email, then first maybe we can segment it to is this a life claim or a vehicle claim? And maybe we can also check if it's for fraud and check it for marketing optimization, meaning client siya pero wala pala siyang insurance on vehicle, but ang insurance niya is on life or injuries. So pwede ngayon through the logic that we can implement in the claims process automation, we can then recommend a marketing activity to market insurance on car. Okay. So before I move to the next topic, I'd like to see if there are questions in the chat room. Okay. So far, there's none. Let me proceed to the next slide. So this is how we extend the robotics process automation use case into a intelligent automation. Okay. Let me zoom in first in assessment. So normally, when someone files a claim on, for example, sa example natin like motor vehicle accident, usually they provide someone will identify if number one, drunk driver ba siya or hindi, if kaskasero ba siya or hindi. So that's one. And then meron ding separate person kung saan titingin siya kung fraudster kaya itong tao na to. If you could remember our first example, yung name screening, merong list of fraudsters ang Philippines. So, kasama ba siya dun sa list ng mga fraudster na yon? So, titingnan natin yung magkakaroon ng fraud scoring. Next is computer vision. Currently, pag may accident na nangyari, merong assessor na pupunta, titingnan ang damage, and then most likely sasabihin niya, "Sir, ma'am, ano po ito? Kasa po ang pwedeng gumawa nito, and then ito lang po yung pwede nating amount na pwede naming ibigay." So normally, it's very difficult because everything is getting subjective depending on the person na looking at the claim. Okay. But what if an inte- an artificial intelligence would be able to score the activities of or the specific of this person or specific claim. Let me change my mouse into a meron ako hindi maklik. Hold on. Okay. So what if an automation would be able to do the scoring of specific accident? So first, let's discuss computer vision. So there are insurance companies na you can claim by sending picture. So pipicturean mo lang yung damage ng car mo and then magko-compute na siya automatic kung ano yung damage. Lighting lang ba, pati ba gulong? So for this instance, marami siyang nasa site. Next is there's also an automation to look at the driving habit of the specific driver. So nag-speeding ba siya? Nag-hard acceleration ba siya? So these are the items that's being inputted to the system. Next is accident severity scoring, meaning how many were injured. So we will know. Next is fraud scoring. So as mentioned earlier. Then finally, you will have the value scoring of the car. And this will determine if how much of the insurance would be claimed. Yan. So with these artificial intelligence use cases, we can say that the its value to the insurers or to the company would make the process and experience of the claimants a bit easier. And not just that, uh, yung process we're in, we look previously if this was a person, this can be subjective. Pag gutom siya, pag wala siya sa mood, most likely bad score yung ibibigay sa'yo. However, since this is an automation, wala siyang feelings, so it disregards the feelings of the person assessing, but it really looks at the specific details. So the computer would be able to give you a just compensation, whether yung claim would be 100%, 50%, or a specific amount. Yeah. Okay. So next is, we already know about the assessment. Now next is the claims routing. So at claims routing, normally these are already people assessing the claim. But if the automation would be able to provide you details prior to handling of the claim, then this person would be able to have a better understanding of the accident, and then it can recommend for potential compensation or send an upgrade doon sa claim ng isang person. So for example, initial claim niya was maybe 100% of the damage, and then based on the assessment of the solution and then investigation of the claim, they can also say, let's upgrade the accident into more more lenient, meaning mas malaki yung pwedeng i-claim, and then magkakaroon na ng decision support. So with this decision support, magiging just ngayon yung decision and faster. And it can also recommend what's the next best action. Okay, what is next best action? So suppose merong nag-claim, nabigay mo ng claim, next question is, pwede ka pa bang, if you were the insurance company, pwede ka pa bang mag-market based on this accident? Meaning, if car claim ang claim ng person, and then wala siyang nalaman yun na wala pala siyang life insurance, then most likely, your next best action would be to upsell a new product. And that product is maybe a life insurance or maybe an accident insurance. Next can be, they can send it to a specific body repair shop. So instead of providing cash, then they will say, let our authorized casa handle the repairs. Or maybe it can recommend first hospitalization. So it really depends. But if we are really looking at into the whole use case, so we can see that the RPA and artificial intelligence is working together, and these are two distinct technologies but making the process on claims more seamless. Yan. So let me check the chat room again if you have questions. So mukhang walang question. Maybe I can ask the question. No? Maybe in your school, what do you think, how can RPA and artificial intelligence help the students sa school ninyo ngayon? Okay. Maybe I can cite an example. Sa scheduling upon enrollment. So, of course, meron tayong block section and meron namang students na irregular. Sometimes, if merong yung mga irregular na student, hindi sila maka-enroll sa subject na gusto nila, then most likely we can have an artificial intelligence or a recommendation engine na pwede siya magsabing this subject may be next best action for you, meaning if hindi pwede ang 8:30 a.m. for you, then based on your schedule and yung logic na nasa artificial intelligence, ang subject na next na pwedeng ibigay sa'yo is nasa 5:30 p.m. And at 5:30 p.m., ito yung mga teachers on that specific subject. So that's one use case of artificial intelligence used in school na pwedeng nakikita ko. So I saw a question. How do you make sure that automation in your end is close to accurate? So it depends on what is close to accurate ang ibig mo sabihin. If we're talking about RPA, then most likely it will be 100% ang accuracy because it's like because it's robot na input output yung kanyang ginagawa. However, if we're talking about intelligent automation, then it's more of looking into the artificial intelligence logic. Meron tayong tinatawag na bias. Hindi BTS na bias. So it's a bias on the model, meaning suppose meron kang you have a data na inkling into always saying negative. So when you score, kasi usually yung itong artificial intelligence na to, it's in very simplistic terms. Ano lang to magbibigay lang siya sa'yo ng 0 and 1 at the end of the day. Or maybe not 0 and 1 but 0, 1 to 10 choices. So if you trained your AI na to be biased on 0, meaning kahit 1 ang tinype ng person, dapat 0 pa rin yung ilabas niya, then yan po yung sinasabi natin, bias ang model. So meron po tayong tinatawag na we have this so-called model validation wherein we feed data and check whether uh, tama yung logic. So we're not saying that the logic of AI is really always 100% because um, in real life data, meron parating saliwa. So in terms of there's always a model validation, and that model validation has to be something that is explainable. So for example, in our banking system, uh, when they apply artificial intelligence, usually they have to explain to the regulators, meaning bangko mag-i-explain sa Anti-Money Laundering Council bakit ito yung napili nilang model. Bakit ito yung output ng score ng isang person. Kasi the moment they report a specific person on a bad light, sa buong banking system, magkakaroon siya ng tagging. So, it's very important na merong model validation so that they would always see na tama yung result na kailangang ilabas. If not tama, well, close to tama kasi we have these models na we call segmentation wherein uh, it's not really, everything's not black and white. There are gray areas, and those gray areas we need to define further. Yan. So ayoko lang mag-delve into super technical into artificial intelligence on our topic. So what makes RPA distinct from the usual software development? So as far as SDLC is concerned, it's very similar, okay? But in artificial intelligence projects, kung sa regular program development natin 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, in artificial intelligence logic, 1 plus 1 may not be equal to 2. Kasi meron siya parating in technical terms, in modeling, they have the so-called k-means. So I think i-research nyo na lang anong ibig sabihin ng k-means in statistics. But siya yung magde-determine if you are really close into the correct answer. Yan. So the first time I moved from regular SDLC to AI projects, hindi ko talaga maintindihan. Parang tipong you have this logic and then dapat ang output niya, expectation is from very simplistic example, 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. But in AI, as mentioned, 1 plus 1 may not be equal to 2 because there is a factor na k-means yung tawag natin sa technical. Yan. So, next is we have, pwede po bang kahit small scale like registration ng school organization? I think for AI projects, yes, because we have a lot of developers using Python. So Python kasi is an open source platform, and you can study Python to do that. And then include mo nyo yung output nung model dun sa regular application nyo na ginagawa. So for example, gagawa ka ng student registration system. So during enrollment, mag-register siya kung anong subject, and then pag napuno na, hindi siya pwede mag-enroll, di ba? Dapat ganun eh, if 50 na. But, if gusto mo lagyan ng logic, what if lumampas na ng 50 and then merong student doon, saan siya next best pwedeng ilagay? And yung pag-transfer mo ng student from one class to another will not just be parang based on quota, meaning pag 50 na dapat ito yung next. Pag lumampas na yung sa kabila, punta ka sa kabilang subject, but you add more logic. So AI is a different topic kung gusto nating puntahan talaga siya. But yes, you can you can include that logic sa mga even in your projects sa school, no, yung thesis. So it's I really encourage you, lalo na kung IT kayo, look into AI, because from the organization that I'm working with, and most of the items na trends natin globally, programming is always there. No, pero it's something else when you're talking about AI, machine learning, and and those stuff. So yes, dataset must come from their existing. Yes. So just like any other analytical project, so datasets should always be part of the requirement. So there's meron akong tidbit. So we have this project in a telco wherein we predict kung ano yung next na gustong gawin ng tao. So maybe gusto niya mag-data, maybe gusto niyang mag-text lang or mag-chat lang. So meron kaming logic na ginawa, and we found out that every 6 months nagbabago yung behavior ng tao. So by nagbabago, meaning yung game, for example, no, yung Mobile Legends noon, most likely COD na ngayon, so after 6 months. So marami nang lumipat. Yan, ganyang example. So we did that study and we found out that every 6 months yung behavior ng telco users is nagbabago every 6 months. Maybe due to new games or change in environment, like right now, election season, so medyo maraming gusto tumingin sa Facebook and Twitter. Tapos yung iba parang naglaylo on games. But come summer, meaning tapos na yung mga students na mag-schooling, most likely balik ulit sa sa mga games. So depende sa environment. But question on what games yung lalaruin, it will also depend kung ano yung latest. So nagva-vary talaga. So every 6 months nagche-change yung behavior. Yeah. So let me go back to my presentation. So lessons learned after implementing RPA. Yan. So okay. So this screen is saying that nagpa-plateau na daw yung RPA. Meaning hindi na stagnant na siya. Flatline na daw yung RPA ngayon. Previously it was growing, meaning nung early stages of digitalization, large companies were into RPA because they were digitalizing, meaning nagta-transfer sila from green screen to the new platform. So that's one example. However, nung napansin nila na okay, nalipat ko na lahat ng mga projects ko, nagawa ko na, but it seems like wala nang naggawa ko na lahat ng pwede kong gawin on RPA. All the automations, nagawa ko na. However, there are missing links on RPA. So the missing links in RPA are the logics that was introduced to you earlier. Okay. So first, to the companies implementing an RPA, they need to include cognitive abilities. Meaning, yung AI na pinag-uusapan natin earlier, they need to include it in their projects. Otherwise, it's just another IT project. But when you introduce cognitive ability like natural language processing, so if you're a big company and a lot of people are chatting you in Facebook, then you can apply NLP. A chatbot would be able to answer the queries of your social media channel. Okay. Next is act upon insights. So, suppose yung RPA natin nagta-transfer siya ng name screening as mentioned earlier from one system to another. And then, during name screening, nakita niya na this person was tagged as a fraudster. Okay? So, for it to act upon insight, there should be an intelligent automation to check whether this person should be reported and what other transactions should be stopped in the whole business making process. So suppose if nag-loan itong person na to, yung fraudster na to, ano yung mga dapat ma-stop? So dapat it should act upon insight. Next is provide governance and traceability. So what we don't want to happen in our automation is that we will always say, hindi ko alam eh. Parang robot na lang yan eh. Si robot, kasalanan ng robot yan, kaya ganito yung output ng namin ngayon. So, it shouldn't be like that. All projects should have governance and trace. Trace yung mga jobs. Meaning, we can always look back wherein we can say, siguro in the ETL process, merong error. So we would be able to trace where's the error. So sometimes kasi, even if especially if it's a data error, it's very crucial kasi it could mean na the company will pay more, lalo na kung insurance yon, or the person would not be able to claim what really is entitled to him because of that single data error. So dapat matrace natin saan nag-error and anong process, saang banda ng process siya nag-error and anong computation. So everything should be traceable. Ayan. So lastly, before I leave, I accept any other questions. So we should always remember tong hindi ko alam kung sinabi talaga to ni Albert Einstein pero siya marami sa meme, no? In the middle of difficulty lies opportunity. This is very important for you students. And I always say this in my talks. Because once the opportunity has passed, it's very difficult to recover. So when you see that opportunity, seize it always. So that's why in the middle of difficulty, the moment may opportunity, grab it. Kasi once nag-lapse na, kung merong YouTubers dito, tapos na yung era na sobrang daling makakuha ng viewers on your YouTube. Right now, the era is you have to have a very good content to have good views in YouTube or Facebook. So, the opportunity, if earlier in your life, panay ka lang nood ng YouTube, hindi ka gumagawa ng content, well, natapos na yung opportunity where na makakuha ka ng ano um viewers. So seize it when you have it. Now you're in school, so make the most of it. Yeah. Miss Hayes.
Yes, I hope our viewers or everyone understand or learn something from Rayboy. Um, Thank you very much, Rayboy, for that very enlightening and insightful presentation. Knowing that many of our participants and viewers are from various types courses that involve technology and have expressed interest in the future trends of the IT industry. I know nasagot na ni Sir Rayboy yung mga questions niyo, yung mga previous questions. And again, we are now opening the floor for questions from our participants. You can type them on the comment section, all of our questions, and we'll address them.
Miss Hayes, do we have time no to answer this? Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
normally for where do you collect data sets for your RPA? So for RPA, yung data would be coming from your source system, meaning if you're screening from the internet, then your data should come from the internet. So repetitive task ang ginagawa ng RPA. So it really depends if it needs data or not. So minsan yung RPA, ang main purpose is just to navigate the tool. So click click click, pwedeng ganun lang din yung gawin ng ng RPA. Sometimes there's no need to have a data set for RPA. It just need instruction where to click, where to copy, where to paste. Okay, I saw I think this is a good question. Okay, unahin muna natin si this one.
JV Reliona, since AL is actually the mainstream now, will our privacy still be protected, especially that our data is being used?
Okay. Um who signs up in internet services without reading the terms and conditions? Okay? So for example, in Facebook. So have you read the terms and conditions of Facebook? So if you've read it, it says there that anything that you do in Facebook will be part of their analytics. So the moment you enter the platform, Facebook, you said yes, sign me up, then you've already surrendered your privacy to your page. That's the reality. So that's how they if you can see yung mga ads nila, it's really targeted. So yung ads na nakikita ko may not be applicable to you because yung ads na binibigay sa atin is targeted. So yes, there's a gray area there na yung data natin is being used. So it really depends whom you've provided your data. Yan.
Yes, sir. I think Sir Ray will answer your question. Reliona. There's another one here. So far, is there any false positive that cause significant repercussions on the business of one, your companies or customers? If so, can you elaborate to an extent permissible?
Okay. I'm afraid I would not be able to provide you this this informations, no. But yes, there are cases where there's false positives, and the only way to handle for false positive is really the manual investigation. So by manual investigation, you gather documents, you look at the transactions, and then the investigator would be able to tell if it's really false positive. But right now, um, that's the only thing that I can tell. There's always a backup. So when you do automation, there's always a backup manual process. Hindi pwedeng tanggalin yung manual process kasi siya yung backup. May times na magda-down yung cloud. So if down ang cloud, nag-down yung sabi natin, nag-down yung automation mo, then you have to revert back to manual until uh, mag-on siya ulit. So, classic answer to this question is manual investigation and data gathering.
We have another one from Lorimel Ferreira. What combination of softwares do you usually use in developing RPA?
When we develop or when you're in a company kasi, usually you're limited to the tools that's accredited for use. At that time, ang accredited kami na to use was Pega Systems. But if you could see yung mga ngayon, hiring, mga job street, ganyan. So maraming technologies yung ginagamit. You have UiPath. But at the end of the day, they're the same. Nagpalit lang ng name ng company. But yung the way you do your development, it's very the same. Even the language, halos pare-pareho na sila. Yung manner na lang na saan mo siya pwedeng i-implement yung nagkaka-difference. But during my time na I was developing sa RPA, Pegasystems na siya ngayon, but yun yung ginamit namin.
And from Ichigo, sir, what are the challenges or limitations of automated processes? For example, with insurance, and how will it be resolved?
Okay. For the Philippine setting, our market really is on the conservative side. So in other countries, picturean mo lang yung kotse mo na nabangga. Automatic meron ka ng claim na pwedeng magawa through the picture. But sa setting natin, aside from the picture na isi-send mo sa email, hindi pa talaga ganun ka-accepted yung proseso ng logic ng automation. So they're using it, but it's really the culture ng market natin that hindi pa tayo ganun ka yung propensity natin to cutting edge technologies hindi pa mature. So we always look at the manual processing. So that's the usual limitation na napo-provide. Even if they have the technology, they have the developers, but baseline. So kung anong sabihin ng software, it's just a baseline, and then at the end of the day, there's another person who will process it. Yan. So that's what I'm seeing sa industry.
Yes, sir. As much as I wanted to address all of your questions, for now we are down for this last question from Cora Mercado. As you have mentioned po, hindi pa masyadong adopted here in the PH ang automation. Which aspects or processes po, in your opinion, na ma-prioritize na i-automate here?
Okay. So For me, it's really for example, document processing. So once you graduate and you process government documents, so you will see na mag-fill up ka ng document sa SSS, separate sa pag-ibig, separate sa whatever government agency that gusto mong gawin. In a uh, best case scenario would be you apply to one agency, and then that agency would just be able to get the API because you already have an 'di ba? You already have the ID. So for example, you have an SSS ID, and then you wanted to apply to a certain government agency, and then once you plug in that SSS ID, dapat thinking natin, 'di ba? Seamless na, and then everything should be automated. But currently, it's not like that. So unfortunately, siloed yung mga natin. Sobrang siloed pa ng processes natin. So we appreciate that the government is doing a lot of things, but medyo kulang pa talaga. However, in the financial institutions like sa mga BSP and they are already into that. So it's already a start. So it's matter of time na lang na mag-propagate na siya sa mga industry natin, and hopefully to other government offices.
That is so informative, Rayboy. I hope everyone learned something about this tech session, and I know that nasagot na ni Sir lahat ang inyong mga questions. That's that's it for our Q&A session. And before we dive into our announcement, Sir Rayboy, is there anything you want to add?
And that from my end, I just want to thank everyone for joining our session today. Thank you.
All right. Thank you to everyone for your questions, and thank you, Rayboy, for answering our participants' questions, and of course, for that very insightful presentation. If you need more details, you can connect with Rayboy after this session. Rayboy, can you share with everyone how can they reach you?
Yes, I'm available in LinkedIn, so you could just search my name in LinkedIn. Medyo active ako doon. So everyone can ping me.
Yan. So
Thank
you
you.
can search Rayboy sa LinkedIn and
Yes, Henry
message
Hutalle.
him.
Yes.
Henry Hutalle. Thank you again, Rayboy. Before we end this tonight's session, allow me to share with you the upcoming StackLeague events. First, StackLeague GDG Cagayan de Oro Tech Session, How to Create a Simple Style Guide for Design Development Handoff on April 20 at 6 p.m. Angel Hack StackLeague Angel Hack Manila, Intro to Angel Hack and Community Building on April 28, 6 p.m. StackLeague Coding Chips Career Session, Roadmap to Senior Programmer on April 28 at 6 p.m. And last, StackLeague UX PH Tech Session, Web Accessibility Done Right, Common Design Gaps and How to Fix Them on May 25 at 6 p.m. There are plenty of opportunities for you to learn here in StackLeague. Go to fb.com/stackleague/events for the registration details and to get the latest updates. And to help StackLeague team improve the sessions for you, kindly answer this 5-minute question form and submit your feedback on bit.ly/StackLeague sessions feedback. Or you can scan the QR code flashed on the screen. Also, make sure to learn league points to unlock the challenger levels and receive the prizes. So that's all for all the announcement. On behalf of the Stack League team, I would like to say thank you to everybody for joining the Stack League Phil IT Org session, the rise of intelligent automations. If you don't have a Stack League account yet, make sure to sign up now at stackleague.com. And of course, invite your friends and family who you think should be part of the league. See you guys at the next Stack League event. This has been your host, Hazel. Good night, everyone. Thank you.